Ke bana ba bomang. Unnurtured minds, breastfed in pure confusion. They live their lives looking forward at this optical illusion they call the future. Pure nothing. Empty existence in the hearts of those who bore them, hoping and praying and watching doors shutting. They believe in shadows that lead them every day through the cold. They long for their fire that might warm their souls. The type feet with courage flicking of the knives. They continue every day in search of their lives. Those who marry without love are those who forsake their wives, and those who pray standing are those who smoke away their share of the time. I speak now of routine talent, confined to the boundaries of their continent, those who live in fear of self-contentment and rely on the lives of others for true enrichment. Consolation and condolences, oh soft-livered ones. Why live and breathe if you don't care and take a chance? I speak now of those who are merely existing, have nothing to live forward to but are still persisting, shaken mentalities of lost and forgotten, the forgiven, who are out in the open but believe that they are hidden by the clothes that cover their skin, and yet they remain exposed and oppressed by the self-appointed kings who can never be opposed. I speak now of those with unnurtured minds, breastfed in pure confusion, those who have the conclusion that this life we live is an optical illusion. Those who know me know the song I sang. They wonder even when their bodies are hung, where it all began.
My illusions visualize this enormous revolution. Could it be real, or is it just a stupid superstition? With their dirty lies, they cause this unbearable pollution, devotion to the African skies. Freedom and redemption. Separated by the thin barriers of Western civilization, they come in numbers to form this great population. Motion, emotion, devotion. To honor those who went through fertilization, those who knew the importance of segmentation, those who took a mile and never thought of transportation, with the youth intimidated by violence and intoxication. A long-lost hero longing for accommodation, a loyal soldier who served to fulfill this given mission. Then they cry, motion, emotion, devotion. Thousands and thousands of people yearning to join the evolution, they think of the benediction. In a crowded church full of the congregation, primitively idolized by the norms of tribalization, yet it's hard to keep contact because there's no communication. They cry, motion, emotion, devotion. Before the great Hitler thought of a destruction, we were lucky to have wise men who came up with a negotiation. Cool down and watch them heading for evangelization, fundamentalism as we meant family for this introduction. Methodical methods used for this obligation with less diction. You are the one to give a literal translation.
Broken lips and poisoned thoughts, cried tears and fading smiles. She lay her dreams on stained pillows, infested promises of prey on young girls with mirrored features. Behind alleys, cracked walls and broken windows, she undressed her innocence, stripped on swollen clads of fantasies. These walls consciously know the stories that burden her yellow bone skin, size 0, the girl in red lipstick, lace wig, list of hard, heavy, dark, beer belly, brabiza, tabisos, bongenis, who showered her with weakening words, divulging her soul. Her ascetic smiles, cold fragrances, dirty money. She found herself imaged on skyscrapers of disillusionment, rebuked by folks and foes, stolen kisses of the rising sun, inheritance of fear, superficial promises, dreams on delay, dreams treading on broken glass, her life hopeless, helpless.
The heart does a still dance to a last song. Winter. I caught a glimpse of radiance this cast the season. Yet her luminance gave light that pierced through clouded fabrics of my heart. Thoughts of her, even through their many shades of grays, embraced every ounce of me. She had presence, and presented wine wrapped in pink lilies, violet-scented gift wraps, to cover the discomfort of roses to her friend. Her hands waved like the ocean, caressing the winds, marking birds of their limited freedoms in their unfathomable migration. You and I were sprung. Spring, the first bloom of our love. The enveloping of its colorful synthesis. The sun's rays as they shone upon the rising of our bond. Thoughts of you pollinated my sprouting emotions. Arousing the strengthening of my feelings for you, I held on, mimicking leaves as they held on to branches for dear life, dear love. Roots of our love was planted in stars. Written in the skies and planted in space, for the universe to better understand the depth of our connection. Where stars glisten like your eyes, mountains still stand tall as your stature, and nature simply is, because you've always been the one. Because our love was like the phoenix bursting into the flames, then rising from its ashes. It was fire. But summer came, with all its orgasms, the heat, the air we needed, the distance between us. Thoughts of you turned sour. My heart's yearnings became bitter. Your silence didn't make things any better. Nights were accompanied by tears and sadness. Mornings brought hope, but someone else rose to your shine, leaving me in the lonely darkness of my days without light. This thing caused us to fight. Love was no longer expressed right. Hurtful words were spoken, and then it was autumn. The tree of our love that we planted together was now withering, suffering. The skies teared no rain signs of whimpering. Believing to the joyous hue of past moments, we buried all our memories in these scars. I had lost myself in the pain. No longer giving you your green, I stole your beauty. Love was lost in the scorching third-degree burns of the sun, so I let the wind carry me in its back and took my leave, leaving you bare, empty, awaiting winter, to brave its cold nights embraced by loneliness. But neither of us realized that had we put in as much team effort we did in the hate, then perhaps we'd portray a whole united trinity, where it would be you and I and God. Winter, you sold me cheap dreams. I'm now indebted with pieces of broken hearts.
Do you remember the day of the thick fog? Do you remember the day of the thick fog? That was the first time we knew of each other. You never saw my face. I never saw yours. It was perfect. When our silhouettes collided, the heavens knew that no bond could break dawn into sunshine like this. No union could shake the When our silhouettes collided, the heavens knew that no bond could break dawn into sunshine like this. No union could quake the earth into peace like this. No cement could hold the foundation for floods like this. The heavens knew that that bang would recreate the universe into a world where skin shades had no importance, and all that prevailed were the shades reflected through our hearts. Do you remember that day? Our shadows danced into each other's darkest secrets. We spoke of journeys to be taken,
of digging graves to bury the yesterdays that threatened to cripple our kisses. We spoke of surfing new waves and drowning doubt, for it sung the hopes embedded on our vessels. How else could breath not exist that day? We were the air, our hands intertwined as prayer painted the streets into safety and gave children homes. Do you remember that day? I can still feel your breath blowing inside me. The path we took is mapped by the dents you left on my body, but slowly the fog dissolved, and its disappearance created a ladder that saw our feelings climb out of sight. I could no longer feel your presence. I just saw you standing there like a pole stuck with obituaries. You were a reminder that hearts breathe and death licks and lurks at the most promising sparkles. Our ghosts now dance at the gallery of our memories. What happened to the fog? Your shadow print is now melting away from my aura. The floods have seized into streams that pollute the village of Esperanza, and those kisses have been strangled and are held captive in that empty, lifeless dungeon corner. Our voices have been jailed and are struggling to swim through the world's groan. The cement we had is now building boundaries that are blocking the bliss that was blown. Our cremation has left the land bare. The sunshine we created is now scorching. Man in the desert, rain is no longer there. What happened to the fog? What happened to the fog? I see. So that's what happened. You saw my face, and I saw yours.
This art is not art without meaning. This art is not art without you to reflect on. It is not art without drum rolls. After a heartfelt beat that hypnotizes our being, this art. It's not art without love of us seeing the corners that cocoons this body, intertwines you and I to be one heart. And our work is art, this art. It's not art if you speak bearish, a language unknown of species on crossroads. You see, I speak what I speak and spit unwanted, yet this art, it's not art without you and I. Art anticipating to this fuming love that only changes our color and leaves our souls yearning to be one. This art. It's not art if you are still painted by harsh red that paints the world with hatred. For in this art we ought to be puppets if not puppets, controlled by people doing as they please, for they pay our salaries. Yet this art is bigger than you and I. For we are God's messengers, speaking to his passengers, but some call us angels just because they don't understand our words. And this art is art to be alive in you and I. Please switch off the music. It's disturbing me. This art. It's not art if we are still divided by harsh red that paints the world with hatred. For in this art we ought to be puppets if not carpets, controlled by people doing as they please, for they pay our salaries. Yet this art, it's bigger than you and I. For we are God's messengers, speaking to his passengers, but some call us angels just because they don't understand our words. Yet this art is art to be alive in you and I. And artistically we keep it alive, this art. It's not art if every soul leave this place with many questions without solutions. This art is not art if every soul leave this place without motivation. If after all that we say is life sucks, these are words from life suckers that makes every man suicidal with strings from forces unseen. Again, this art is alive in you and I when we utter goodbye kisses in a distance between that strangles me with this beat. Because from every heartbeat, you are part of this art. Yet this art, it's not art without you who keep the pen writing the unspoken thoughts in this pad. A field to be used by me, the artist. But this art, it's not art without meaning. This art, it's not art without God. This art, it's not art without you. It is not art without God. This art, it's not art. This art.
This the reason why I became a saint and they call me the hexed one.
This art
is not superficial.
This art
is naked and vulnerable.
This art.
All the worlds and kingdoms and nations started upon the earth. This is a cry to all civilization, a message to the nations. This is a cry to mothers and fathers and grandparents. This is a cry to my brothers and sisters. a message to the youth and the elders. To they who walk upon the earth in sinful perpetrations, to they whose actions are displeasing unto the Lord, to they who claim to be wise and yet live in confusion, to they who walk upon the earth without knowledge of their redemption, to they who lack salvation unto the Lord, to they who despise prophecies and revelations, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. To those who live in sin and indulge in worldly desires, to those who question the existence of He who is our God, to those who have not confessed and so have not been saved, to those who lack understanding of the word which is from our God, to those who refuse to believe in He who is in heaven, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. What then shall you do when the time has come? Do you not fear the fate that awaits you when the trumpet is blown? Do you not wonder where your soul shall go when you are deceased? Do you not fear what shall become of the land upon which you trod when He returns? Do you not fear the fire that shall consume all who are not saved? Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Where then shalt thou find refuge when the darkest days are upon thee? Where then shall you go when the sun shall die and the moon shall bathe in blood? Where then shall you be when every stone shall be upturned? Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. For the day draws close to the end of times. For the time shall come when all shall be no more. For the day shall come for all to end upon the earth. Then He shall come for those who confessed and so received salvation. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. What then shall you do when He returns for those who believed and so were saved? What then shall you do when the end of times is upon us? When His wrath shall consume in an unquenched fire all who are not saved? When the dust shall claim all men and the righteous shall be resurrected? When His wrath shall befall all the earth and all its residents? When He shall return to establish His kingdom upon the earth for all eternity. Repent, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
This art
Is breathing.
This art.
Kicks down doors and opens windows.
This art.
We are done.